Working at the movie theater during the summer was a gig that helped me scrape together some extra cash as a broke college student. The job itself was mundane, involving routine tasks like selling tickets, ushering patrons to their seats, and cleaning up after each screening. However, the allure of free food and drinks provided a silver lining that kept me going during those long shifts. Little did I know that one fateful night would turn a routine work experience into a chilling encounter that would stay with me forever. It was usual shift, and the dimly lit lobby echoed with the distant sounds of films playing in empty screening rooms. With very few visitors wandering in and out, the night took on a quiet, almost eerie atmosphere. The low hum of the projector and the occasional creak of the theater doors were the only disruptions to the silence. Around 11 p.m., as I manned the ticket counter, the phone rang, interrupting the quietude. Expecting another routine inquiry about show times, I picked up the receiver. However, the voice on the other end was mysterious and shrouded in an unsettling tone. The caller inquired about any remaining movies, and I informed him that the last show would start in about 10 minutes. Without much conversation, he abruptly hung up. I dismissed it as a random inquiry and went back to my duties. About 30 minutes later, the same mysterious caller rang again, claiming he was almost there. This time, a chill ran down my spine. I told him it was too late to catch the last movie alone and suggested he come another time. Once again, the call ended abruptly, leaving me with an uneasy feeling. Despite my attempts to push the encounter to the back of my mind, the strange vibe lingered. As the clock ticked away, the theater doors creaked open. I glanced up from the ticket counter to see a figure entering, wearing a hat pulled down low to obscure his face. It dawned on me that this could be the mysterious caller from the unsettling phone calls. Trying to maintain a professional demeanor, I attempted to engage in conversation, asking if he needed assistance. However, he simply turned away without uttering a word, adding to the growing anxiety gnawing in my stomach. Moments later, he emerged from the shadows, just about 10 meters away, revealing a menacing knife in his hand. Panic set in as I questioned him, desperately asking what he was doing. His response was an eerie silence that only amplified my fear. Instinctively, I grabbed the keys and sprinted towards one of the screening rooms, hoping to find refuge. As I locked the door behind me, I could hear his footsteps echoing in the hallway, his pace slower than mine. Grateful that I had managed to barricade myself inside, I scanned the room for any potential hiding spots. My eyes landed on the window, and with adrenaline coursing through my veins, I made a split-second decision to escape through it. Carefully climbing out, I tried to make as little noise as possible. Once on solid ground, I pulled out my phone and dialed the police. The man had pursued me to the window, but without access, he seemed momentarily thwarted. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as the police rushed to the scene. By the time they arrived, the mysterious intruder had given up, allowing the officers to apprehend him without resistance. As they led him away in handcuffs, my mind raced with questions about his motives. Later, I learned that he had a history of mental health issues and had spent time in a psychiatric hospital. The incident left me shaken, struggling to comprehend why someone would attempt to harm me simply because I hadn't allowed him into a movie. It was a night etched in my memory, a stark reminder that even the most mundane jobs could take a terrifying turn when you least expect it. In the aftermath, I couldn't help but reflect on the fragility of personal safety and the importance of being vigilant even in seemingly ordinary environments. On that frosty winter evening, my girlfriend and I, both just 16 years old, found ourselves deciding on a spontaneous movie night at the local cinema. Our youthful enthusiasm took us on a detour through a nearby park before the big show, losing track of time in the crisp air as we exchanged laughter and stories. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we realized it was 7:30 p.m. and the 8 p.m. showing was beckoning us. With a quickened pace, we reached the cinema just in time, joining a modest crowd of around 30 people. The anticipation in the air was palpable as we purchased our tickets and indulged in the classic movie companions, popcorn and drinks. The cinema's lobby was buzzing with the hum of excited chatter, a mix of casual moviegoers and groups of friends. The promise of an evening filled with cinematic thrills and laughter seemed almost tangible. Little did we know that the events that would unfold that night would cast a shadow over what should have been a carefree outing. The lights dimmed, the projector whirred to life, and the movie began. As the plot unfolded on the screen, we became absorbed in the story, temporarily forgetting the outside world. The laughter and gasps from the audience created a shared experience that made the evening memorable. Once the credits began to roll, we decided to take a brief intermission, a quick pit stop before diving back into the real world. I headed towards the men's restroom, anticipating a speedy return to my seat. However, as I waited outside the restroom, the minutes ticked by, and my girlfriend did not emerge from the women's restroom. Growing uneasy, I decided to investigate. That's when I saw him, a man hastily exiting the women's restroom, his face concealed, leaving an eerie trail of uncertainty in his wake. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched him disappear into the crowd, a sense of foreboding settling over me. My instincts kicked in, and I hurriedly entered the women's restroom to find my girlfriend. Thankfully, she emerged unharmed, though her eyes betrayed the fear she had experienced. The assailant had forcefully pushed her aside, snatching her bag in a swift and brazen act before vanishing into the night. Panicked and disturbed, we rushed to the cinema staff, who promptly contacted the police. We provided them with every detail we could recall: the obscured face, the hurried escape, the fear that lingered in the air. The police assured us they would do everything in their power to apprehend the perpetrator. Days turned into weeks, and despite the diligent efforts of the authorities, the assailant remained at large. The fear of the unknown permeated our lives, transforming everyday activities into potential hazards. The once innocuous act of going to a cinema now carried a weight of apprehension. The incident left an indelible mark on our psyches. Two years ago, on a cold and desolate Sunday evening, my unwavering love for movies led me into the clutches of a chilling experience that continues to haunt my thoughts to this day. As a devoted fan of the silver screen, I found solace in the company of friends during our regular trips to the local movie theater. However, on this particular evening, the stars didn't align, and my movie companion abandoned her plans at the last minute, leaving me with the prospect of a solo cinematic adventure. Undeterred by the prospect of solitude, I marched into the movie theater, the faint hum of neon lights flickering above me. The atmosphere within was both eerie and enchanting as the dimly lit rows of seats stretched out before me. Only two other individuals occupied the vast space, seated far away from my chosen spot. A strange sense of isolation crept over me, but I attributed the sparse attendance to the late hour and forged ahead, determined to enjoy the cinematic escapade ahead. The movie itself unfolded on the screen, a lackluster tale with forgettable characters and a plot that failed to captivate. Despite the mediocrity of the film, I remained in my seat until the credits rolled, hoping against hope that the next movie would bring the satisfaction I craved. As the lights flickered back to life, signaling the end of the show, I shuffled out of the theater, the two lone figures still present in the dimly lit lobby. My nonchalant steps quickened into an uneasy stride as I noticed their lingering presence, a gut feeling telling me that something was amiss. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I realized they were shadowing my every move. Fear gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, and an unsettling tension filled the air. Abandoning any notion of heading straight to my car, I meandered through the empty corridors, desperately trying to confirm my suspicion that I was being followed. The confirmation came swiftly as the duo maintained a calculated distance, a haunting echo of footsteps accompanying my every turn. Panic set in, and with trembling hands, I dialed the police on my phone while feigning interest in the window displays of a nearby store. As I waited in fear, the minutes stretched into an agonizing eternity, my eyes darting anxiously between the shop's entrance and the ominous figures outside. Unable to withstand the anxiety any longer, I burst out of the store, sprinting through the desolate streets. The menacing pursuit behind me intensified as the two figures, now mere shadows in the night, closed the gap. Adrenaline coursed through my veins, and my breaths became frantic gasps as I navigated the labyrinthine alleys, each step carrying me further into the unknown. The chase reached its crescendo when I stumbled into another store, the bell above the entrance ringing in discordant harmony with my ragged breaths. The police arrived with impeccable timing, the two pursuers apprehended with the kind of efficiency that only law enforcement could provide. The disheveled appearance of the captives suggested a possible influence of some illicit substance, casting a sinister shade over the events that had transpired. A thorough search revealed their sinister intentions. Concealed within their pockets were several menacing knives and a canister of pepper spray. The gravity of the situation bore down on me as I contemplated the malevolence that had lurked in the shadows. It emerged that these two individuals had not only evaded the eyes of cinema staff, but had also managed to gain entry without purchasing tickets, leading me to grapple with the unnerving question of how they infiltrated the theater undetected. Though the immediate threat had been neutralized, the motive behind their sinister pursuit remained shrouded in mystery. As the police investigation unfolded, it became apparent that these were not mere chance encounters. The sinister twinge of paranoia lingered in the aftermath, gnawing at the edges of my consciousness. 2 years have elapsed since that fateful night, but the memory of the harrowing experience has refused to dissipate. The tendrils of fear have wrapped themselves around my love for movies, casting a long shadow over the prospect of venturing into a theater alone. The chill of that night continues to echo in the recesses of my mind, a lingering reminder that darkness can manifest in the most unexpected of places, even within the seemingly innocuous confines of a movie theater.